Welcome back, sir. All systems for gaming will be prepared in a few minutes. For now, feel free to grab a cup of coffee and have a good day.
Close your eyes. You're inside $8 billion suite. The air is filtered. Heads-up displays flicker with endless data. But your chest feels heavy. Not from the metal, but from the reactor keeping your heart beating, while it's reminding you that you're only an inch away from death. Hello, hi, and welcome. We all know the genius, the philanthropist, but today, in What If, we're stripping away the tech. We are going to meet the person hiding behind the Iron Mask. Tony Stark isn't just a hero. He's a broken man trying to weld his pieces back together with gold and titanium. Disclaimer. This is a psychological analysis based on Marvel's narrative for educational purposes. It's not a medical diagnosis, but a journey to understand our own armors. The Mask of Privilege. The boy who never learned to love. Let's go back. Before the Avengers, Tony Stark owns the world. But what is it like to walk in his shoes? Imagine growing up in a house where your father, Howard, is a legend, but also a wall of ice. Tony didn't receive hugs, he received expectations. As Amir Levine describes in his book Attached, our attachment styles are forged in these silences. Defensive narcissism. Tony built a brilliant version of himself to hide the fear of not being enough. He developed defensive narcissism. If I'm the funniest, the handsomest, and the richest, no one will notice I'm dying of loneliness. His parties weren't for fun. They were an escape mechanism to drown out the silence of his own soul. The Pepper Factor. Initially, Pepper isn't his love. She is his chaos manager. Tony is a boy trapped in a genius body. She's the one who reminds him to eat and the one who cleans up his emotional mess. It's a relationship where he doesn't know how to be vulnerable because to him, vulnerability equals weakness. The first break. The awakening of pain. The cave in Afghanistan didn't just change his chest, it changed his soul. Jensen, the only man who truly saw him without his billions, dies to save him. Don't waste your life, he tells him. This is where survivor's guilt is born. The armor is born as a form of penance. When he returns and asks Pepper to change his reactor, it's the first time he lets someone see his physical and emotional wound. He shifts from avoidance to anxious attachment. She is now his anchor, his safe place, and the fear of losing her begins to consume him. Hypervigilance. The world on his shoulders. Post New York, you have seen gods, aliens, and a black hole. How do you go back to sleep after that? Tony can't. This is pure PTSD, or also known as post-traumatic stress disorder. As Bessel van der Kolk explains, in the body keeps the score, trauma stays in the body, and Tony's body reacts by building walls. The control addiction. Tony creates a lot of suits. Why? Because in his mind, if he doesn't have a suit for every possible problem, he will fail. And then he makes the most human mistake of all. He tries to build an armor that doesn't just protect his body, but the entire planet. Ultron isn't just a villain, it's Tony's desperate attempt to wrap the world in iron so no one else dies on his watch. But in the middle of this mental chaos, a kid from Queens appears, Peter Parker. If Pepper is Tony's anchor, Peter is his redemption. Tony becomes the mentor he never had. He realizes that he can protect the world just with metal, but with a legacy. Through Peter, Tony finally moves toward a secure attachment. I try to get close to Tony Stark's psyche, but no analysis can fully explain a man who spent his whole life learning that the armor wasn't what saved him. It was what he had to learn to let go, piece by piece. Many wonder if Tony's ending was a happy one. The answer, as much as it hurts, is yes. Not because he survived, but because he finally achieved what his father never could. Being at peace with his past and learning to love without fear. His sacrifice wasn't a defeat. It was his graduation as a human being. And you? What armor are you putting on today to keep the world from seeing your wounds? Remember, sometimes the greatest strength isn't in the middle that covers us, but in the heart we allow others to see. Thank you for joining me in this episode. I'm Ale, and this was What If. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Spotify to see more episodes. Tony Stark was just the beginning, the first piece of this puzzle we call heroism. But he's not the only one carrying the weight of a mask. In our upcoming episodes, we will continue exploring the secret files of the mind. But we won't stop at superheroes. We will also look into the great stories of the Bible. From the anxiety of Moses to the deep emotional struggles of David or the resilience of Esther. Because whether it's a shield or a crown, we all have something to heal. I love to hear which character you want to see next in these kind of episodes. And reach out to me on social media and let me know. Your theories are what keep this podcast moving. And Morgan was right. I love you. 3000. Bye-bye.